One. Welcome to Podnutz, episode number 61. The Computer Repair Roundtable Show, where we have three technicians come on the show. We chit-chat, we argue, we debate about computer repair-related things in the effort to help you with your computer repair business and whatever you want to do in the computer repair field. I said computer repair like 10 times in under a minute. That's a world record. Okay, let me introduce the guests, and we'll get right into the show here. What we'd like to do is everybody brings a topic, and then everybody will give a tip towards the end of the show. We'll read emails and voicemails. Start off with Steve D'Amico from smdcomputer.net. Hey, Steve.
Hey.
How are you doing there?
Pretty good.
Very good. Chris Barry from technologyadventures.com. Hey, Chris.
Hey, guys.
Thank you for joining us.
Of course. My pleasure.
Awesome. Tim Kelly from timscomputerfix.com. Hey, Tim.
Hello, everyone.
Tim, you've been doing an awful lot of live streaming, actually, from his computer repair shop. Want to tell us a little bit about that real quick, Tim?
Yeah, sure. I just crank up my video camera every day when I open my shop and just let it run, and you know, anybody's free to come in and take a gander at what's going on. Sometimes there's things going on, sometimes there's not, but I just leave it running live, and sometimes I'll you know, anything interesting I'm doing, I'll zoom in and kind of explain or talk in the chat a little bit about what I'm doing if I have time. So
it's very cool.
Yeah.
Where can people find it, or where's your link?
Well, actually on Podnutz, you can find it at podnutz.com/live repair shops is where you can find a lot of everybody's repair feeds, computer shop feeds that are linked there. But you can find mine at Timster's Computer Repair Shop on Ustream.
Awesome. You changed the name. I like it. All right, let's get into the topics here. Start with Steve D. Steve D, what do you want to talk about tonight?
Sure. What I'd like to talk about is insourcing, but specifically before you insource, specializing. I found something that's pretty easy to specialize in. I guess, at least for me, it is, and that's doing DC jacks. Like for a while, I was doing them here and there, you know, for a while, and now I'm doing a ton of them. I mean, it's like 80% of my business right now. Maybe I'm just going through one of those kind of spells, but I don't think so, because the reason why I'm getting so many of them is because I started insourcing them.
Now, what do you mean by insourcing? You are going to other shops and telling them that you could do power jack repairs?
Yeah, it's something I kind of fell into. Well, I mean, you know, I was doing the jacks for a while, and I was getting really good results each time, and of course I have the hot air rework station, like me and Tim are both going to gloat about. But when I started doing them, I mentioned that I was doing them like different shops,
right,
in different companies, not even just repair shops, just IT companies. I mean, you know, some shops they don't touch you know, home systems, but they're always around laptops, you know, and they know that being, you know, in tech, they see them all, they're around, their clients have them, and they're kicking them around, their families and friends and stuff, so they come across a lot and see a lot of it, and those are my best clients, because they it's not just jacks, it's also motherboard replacements. They're not going to do that.
So they turn that stuff away. So how did you find out that you can get other guys to give you the work?
Well, that's what I'm saying, Steve. Because real quick, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go for it.
But
no.
what's the way you go about that? I mean, I know you got to rub elbows with these guys. Like in around my area, I'm considered more of a threat. So you know, how do you approach these type of businesses to where, you know, they don't look at you as competition?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure how I've gotten past that barrier. They've kind of most of them have come to me at this point, but there's a few that I've gone to. What I think when they figure out that I don't know. I kind of I try to bring that air about me that I'm friendly. I'm here. You know, I give a couple of quick tips. You know, something I think about. Oh, did you see this? Or hey, did you check this out? You know, things like that. And they like that. That perks them up. And then like I'll mention Square Up, and they're like, what? You can what? You mean with your phone? You know, with SquareUp.com. That's credit card handling.
So you go in and dazzle them with something.
Yeah, I might show him a little something, but usually it's because, well, so far it's been each time it's, well, one guy came in, he just walked in and said, "Can you fix this laptop?" And I kind of had this feeling that I've seen him before. He came in and bought a laptop for me like 3 or 4 months before that, and he goes, "Can you do these types of repairs?" And I was like, "Yeah," because it said, because on my sign I put outside it says specializing laptop repair, and so I guess he figured that I probably would be able to do it, and I told him, "Well, not only can I do it, but I have the jacks in stock." And that's this part of the specializing
And you
what I
got to
did.
say, and you tell me you're damn good at it,
Well, yeah.
or you've done like 1,000 of them or something. However
Well,
many you did.
yeah, I tell them I do a lot, and that not only do I that I do a lot of them, but I'm tooled to do them quick. That I've kind of figured out ways to make them quicker, like using a hot air rework station, and also the part that separates me from the rest is that I have the jacks in stock.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can get a. Go ahead, Chris.
Do you wholesale it to them?
Yes. My rate used to be too low, as Chris could easily kill me for, and has, but now I've raised my rate. I went from 89, which was every time I did a DC jack for $89. I felt like I was swallowing an egg.
Like hated life.
I
I know.
I felt like
right.
I felt defeated each time. So but now that my rate is $150 for the same job, which is of course a major it's almost double, majorly different. Now I'm charging $90 for the other companies, and
That's a good idea.
And I'm telling them, look, I'm charging $150 to the public for this. You should charge something similar. Charge as much as you want, but that's what
Right.
I'm charging.
Exactly.
So I leave room. I try to be as convenient as humanly possible for them. I try to be fast because I have over 50 different types of jacks in stock, ready to go. Fast meaning like same or next day repairs for them, and then not only, yeah.
Sorry, I keep interrupting. I'm really sorry. One quick question. Since you've done that, since you've raised your price to 150, are you doing more jacks now?
I am, but I'm doing more in-source jacks. So it's like, yeah, but I don't feel nearly as defeated doing it for $90 for one of these guys, because a lot of the hassle factor is completely removed.
Right.
That's
a lot's actually part of the work. Doing if you didn't use these guys, like dealing with the customers, part of the work, and calling them and following up, and yeah, I know what you mean.
Like
Totally.
these guys, these companies, these guys that I've been doing regular work with, they pretty much just say, "Yeah, I have a bad DC jack." They hand me the laptop and they turn their back. I mean, they don't even like. There's no. That's the communication. It's this. They hand me the laptop and go. They identify that there's a laptop in their hands, and then that there's a bad power port, and then they that's the end of the conversation. They already know how much it's going to cost. They already know what I'm going to do. They know the whole process of what I'm going to do with the laptop. There's no questions. And then once it's done, they just nod their head and hand me cash. How much easier could it get?
Yeah.
So for $90,
Yeah, that's sweet.
it's a good deal for me. And so I'm happy with that. You know, the hassle factor of dealing with regular clients, scheduling them, having them come in, scratch their heads, figure out if there's something else they can do, you know, worrying about competition and pricing and whether they're getting a good deal and all this other crap. All that stuff's out the window. So there's no uneasiness. It's just real simple. And so I can bang them out a lot faster. And
Cool.
It's working really good, and I think that the idea. Well, I think the basis of the idea is that I tried to get as good at one thing as humanly possible by like buying the jacks and having the hot air rework station and a bunch of other things, just getting used to doing it over and over again, and by having that ability and being able to do it so well, and being easy to deal with. You know, doing a quick job as fast as possible, and then hand delivering them at times when my clients need them. Then what I've noticed is that I'm easy to deal with, and I'll give you another way I'm easy to deal with. One guy, he brought in it was a jack, but we weren't sure if it was a jack or not, because he said that he's never seen it power up, and this client is new to him, so he thinks we don't know. I mean, the jack was solid on the board, and it was an easy system to get in and out of. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'll change the jack and see what happens. So I changed the jack, and it turns out it was a bad motherboard, right?
Yeah.
So what I told him, I said, look, get something from the client. Just do what you can. See what you can get from him. You know, maybe you can't get anything. Maybe you can. Maybe you can't. But whatever you're able to do, we'll split it or work with me about it. You know, I don't know. He has so that's what he's going to do, and I didn't charge him. But that's because he's already given me about 4 systems this week.
Right.
Oh, in a week. Sorry, not this week, but in a week he's given me 4 jobs. I mean, yeah, I could afford to let one go. You know.
Yeah. Well, you know what else I think you're doing that's successful? You're specializing in something that's in demand. I mean, if anybody's thinking about doing insourcing and specializing in something, make sure that a lot of people want it, and it's definitely needed.
Yeah.
Power jack repairs on laptops, it's such an awesome niche, because it is hard to do for somebody who's not trained, and it just happens tons of times. But like, you know, Steve did with the hot air rework station, and just your experience, it's easy for you now. So I think it's a perfect thing to do for insourcing.
Well, see, I'm sorry, for my area, it's a little different. I love the insourcing stuff, man. I would love to fall into that little niche there like you're talking about.
Yeah.
But in my area, and this is what people do, and this is what I've noticed, and it's a pattern. People call around, and there's several shops in my area that do power jack repairs. So I'm not like, you know, unique in that manner. So, you know, I've done it before. I've called around to all of the shops and gotten their prices, acting as a customer, to get their power jack repair costs. And you know, and then I priced mine out like mid-range from that. But, you know, and I still get the ones that call that I can tell that are just shopping around for a jack repair, who, you know, most of them know when they got a power jack problem. Yeah, but so I was losing some of those jobs, but what I found was, since I have my hot air rework station, it's taken me much less time to do these repairs. So I'm able to slightly drop my price because I'm spending less time and I'm getting more power jack repairs. So in my area, in my case, that's my situation.
Let me ask you this, Tim, and I want to hear what Chris thinks about this too. This is just an idea, because I don't have my shop, so I don't know if this is going to apply. Since you know that maybe your price is not the cheapest, is there something you could tell them on the phone that would make them use you instead? Like, if you know they're just shopping around, could you be like, look, I charge $150, but I'm faster than the other guys, and I've done tons of these, so I know that I'm better than the other, or some. Chris, what could somebody say to, even though you know their price is going to be higher, to still get the customer?
Oh, I know. I already know.
What?
Real simple. Have the jacks in stock, and I can help you with that, Timster. If you have the jacks in stock, then think about it. You could do it in. I'm sure it takes you like an hour and a half or something, like in that range.
So what do you ask them? Like, what do you have, a gateway? Oh, I have that part. Bring it in.
Just say I probably, you know, what's the model number, and then what I do is I have what.
Well, then they got to go find the model. I don't know, that might be too much.
I hear you. I mean, I'm saying it. I know what you're saying. I felt them out, man. These people are about the price, man. I mean, it's dead set about the price most of the time.
Well, I think if there's anything that could trump price a little bit, and aside from what maybe Chris can think of, which probably is a whole bunch of things, it's speed. Just saying, like, look, if they call you at like 11 o'clock, you know, a.m. and you go, listen, you know, and they know what your day is going to be like for the rest of the day, you can say, listen, if they're kind of a little apprehensive, they're not sure, then you just say, listen, if you bring it in today, I'll get it done today. And,
yeah, you got to give them some other benefit. You don't think so, Tim? Or other benefits will get them to...
I think that would, that would perk my ears.
It would hurt, definitely. But it's just, I don't know. I think it's just my area. I mean, everybody's bent set on getting the cheapest price they can get, and they do weigh time in every now and then. But it seems to be the cheapest price always wins in a lot of cases, not in all.
Chris,
yeah, but in that case,
I have a real diverse community here. I've got the higher class, I've got the middle class, and I got the lower class all around me. So, you know, it's kind of diverse.
Okay. Is there something we're missing, Chris?
Well, this is what I would do. Just listen to Timster. I would price myself at mid-high, like I always do, but give a little extra value. And so Steve D's on the right track, I think. Maybe saying that you have the part. Some people are going to go, yeah, but I can wait a week. To some people, that's not going to be a big deal. Maybe throw in something value add. Like what I mean by value add is
like a laptop cooler.
Yeah, like a laptop cooler. How much does that cost you? Or another example, what I started doing on some of my services, I throw in, if they do a managed IT with me, I throw in a free license of Malwarebytes. Cost me $9. I charge $200. Well,
That's
so I make 190 instead of that. So when the people call you, go, yeah, I do power jack repairs, as well as I throw in a $40 program, which is called Malwarebytes, which is pretty much an antivirus that will, you won't have to pay for antivirus anymore, or however you want to spin it, or something, something that costs you nothing, but to a customer looks really expensive, and just throw that as a value add. Don't drop your price. You drop your price, you're done, because that's, how I feel about that. That's not a good idea. I don't think you should do that. Even if it's faster for you, fantastic. It's faster for you. That's great. Don't drop your price.
I can tell you what I've done with a couple of jacks replacements. A couple people were like, they thought that 150 was really high, and I said, well, I usually throw in an antivirus scan with it. So if you think you might have a couple of things in your system, I'll be able to find out. And what I do with that, I'm not running 9 hours of virus scans on like a real infected systems. Like I do the quick scans for a lot of the for the spyware, for the regular, Malwarebytes, right? The spyware quick scans, and then I'll maybe if it has enough time to sit on my bench, maybe I'll see if they have AV and it's up to date, and I'll run it the full and just let it go. And most of the time there's nothing really there, there's some, I find some quick things. Right. I don't spend my actual physical time on it. It's just sitting there running on my bench, so it doesn't really cost me any time, or definitely not money. So that's one thing. And I've gotten every time I've offered that to people that were on the fence with getting the repair, they've always jumped at it. They always, oh really? They've always perked up when they've heard that.
Sure. Yeah, Tim.
Smart. I like that one. That's a good one.
I don't want Tim. I don't want you to lower your price either. If there's other ways to do it, we were just exploring.
No, when I say lower my price, I'm just talking about $10. I mean and it makes a difference to me because I've already seen a difference. Because I get the calls and I can tell people are shopping around, and I do like the idea of offering something, a little bit more value to add on top of that. That is a good idea. But if I could get an average 3 power jack jobs a week. Yeah. And now I can see 6 or 7, but I'm doing them $10 cheaper. That's still benefiting me, and I don't know.
$10 is not bad. $10 isn't bad, I guess.
The other thing you could try is something more like don't estimate over the phone. Tell them it's a free estimate. It costs you nothing. And while I'm in there, I'll look over make sure you don't have viruses. I'll also look and see if there's anything we do on speed increases. And I'll do all of this for nothing. You just bring it in. I'll make sure everything's working okay. And the benefit maybe to that, and the reason I do the free estimate, is you might get more jobs added on to the power jack repair. First of all, it may not be a power jack because they don't know. How do these people know it's a power jack unless they snapped it off? Well, fair enough, then they know. But you know what? You might get a power jack plus a speed up of a computer plus a virus removal. You never know what you're going to get by doing these other things. And to them, you're free, right? You just make sure your pricing once you know what's wrong and you've quoted them is in line with the other guys, because you're right, they still might call around. But that's the whole reason I do the quote unquote free estimate, is because then I can do so many more things when I'm in front of the customer. Your computer's a little slow. Well, I'll just scan for a quick virus. Oh, what do you know? Malwarebytes came up with 11 viruses. Well, now we have to do a virus removal and a computer speed up and blah, 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 right?
I'm totally with you on that, Chris. Definitely.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Well,
Sir, you're contacting shops that do laptop repair as well. Don't forget, there's a lot of IT companies that don't touch home stuff. They're a little more hard to find. They don't have retail like locations. Sometimes they're in like industrial parks and things, and they will. Anybody who does like business grade stuff will will be excellent to contact, because they're looking for an easygoing, easy to deal with person that will get them will get their jobs done quick. You know, when they come across things like that, because people hand them laptops all the time and say, hey, can you help me out with this? And it's like it's a client of theirs that's paying, that's paying their bills, big bills. These are big clients that they have, and they want to make them happy, and they don't want to turn them away.
Right.
So those guys are my favorite, because they pretty much, I mean, they look at a laptop, they look at laptop repair and snicker. Like they're like, who would? They're like, who would open that? That's awesome. The way they look at it, They want to hold it.
It's a little tough to find those type of guys in my area. I've looked in the phone book and everything. I get calls a lot too, but I like where you're coming from on that, and it's a really good idea to rub elbows with some IT guys, because they don't like touching the hardware stuff.
I guess it's very area specific. Tipster sounds like he's in a competitive area.
Well, where are the Matt Rainey's of your area? Those are the guys. Those are my favorite guys to
I
contact.
only know of two major companies here that do IT work and advertise as such. Everybody else is like kind of stays back in the darkness a little bit. I really don't. I admit I haven't dug around deeply, but there's no glaring company that stands out to me around here that does IT and business IT stuff. So.
Interesting. Cool, man. This was a good topic. Thank you, Steve D, for bringing it up.
Sure.
Chris, what do you want to go over tonight?
Okay, I want to talk about FreshBooks and the account. Oh no, sorry, wrong show.
Yo, let me just say something. Those of you who might have listened to the last episode of Podnutz with Chris and Steve D, okay, they might have sounded like they were going back and forth at it, maybe a little harshly. I just want to say these guys have some history. They do this almost every Thursday night after Nuts at Night on a post-show call. They know each other. This was like, I don't want you to think that there was like harshness going around. These guys, they know each other. So if anybody if anybody thought that was like a boxing match, they were having fun. They were just having fun.
Yeah, there's no animosity. It's almost like brothers fighting in that way, where we don't hate each other, or just differ on something and whatever. Yeah. In fact, actually, I've been looking at FreshBooks a little closer. So.
Oh.
Well, we'll leave that until next show.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're asking why I put these two back in the same show,
I'm still 100% QuickBooks, but I'm gonna explore FreshBooks a little closer.
Good.
Okay.
All right, Chris.
Okay. So my real topic. Okay. So I'm going to call when to call it quits. It's not what you think. So when to call it quits is when you're at a customer's, I guess for you guys, when someone brings it into you, or for me, when I go out to their place and I look over their computer, and when to say enough's enough, this thing isn't worth repairing anymore. And I think sometimes some of us don't do that enough, because, working on these super old machines running Windows XP, which is a fine operating system, but that is, running a 1.8 gigahertz processor and 512 megs of RAM, maybe a gigabyte, at some point we have to think about calling it enough's enough on repairing these machines. And I just went through this on a couple of customers where I could have fixed the machine. It would have been probably a couple $100 to get it done. And it was just like, well, is it worthwhile? So I know a lot of guys don't want to say to their customer, no, this isn't worthwhile, because you're going to lose the business. You're not going to get anything out of them, because they're going to go and buy a computer somewhere else. And that's where I think we all need to do more. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to push my home built computers. And the way that I do it, I'm just going to sort of go over quickly on how I am trying to sell my computers and how it's working. I'm finding 9 out of 10 buy from me, and they don't go somewhere else. It's probably more like, 99 out of 100 actually do buy from me once I write off their computers. Number one is, once you've gone in and look at their computer, just make sure you've got a good rapport with the customer. Make sure you've talked to them. You not become friends, but become sales friends, as I call it, where, it's sort of the fake friendship. But, make sure that they like you, because if they don't like you, they're not buying, they're not spending $1,000 with you. So there's no way. So fix their computer if they don't like you. So let's hope they like you. And then the factors that I do to push me over the top from a Best Buy or a Micro Center or whatever else, is I make sure that I talk to the customer about a few things. And number one is bloatware. I tell them the computer that they're going to bring home is going to have the eBay link on it, the Hewlett Packard garbage, the million other things, the little tiny applications that are sitting on their computers, the 45 games that they're never going to use, slowing their quote unquote super fast brand new computer down to nothing. And the thing is, when you say that to them, they all remember when they bought their last computer. And they had the eBay link and the 11 games and all the stuff that was on their machine. And they go, yeah, okay, that's one reason why I should buy from you. The next reason, and this is a big one, if the customer called you out to their house, they don't know what they're doing with computers and or don't want to deal with computers. So for me, I say, listen, I'm going to build you exactly what you want. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then we're going to customize your computer for you. But the big thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build it in my office, and I'm going to bring it to you and hook everything up. I'm going to make sure your printer is working with the new operating system. I'm going to make sure if you need a monitor, we'll get you a new monitor. If you don't need a new monitor, we'll keep your monitor. We'll make sure that everything is working. I will set everything up, and I'll remove all the garbage.
Damn, I want to buy off you now.
Okay, so I'm not done.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. And then the other thing, so I sort of glazed over one of the things, or I skipped over one of the topics, and that is the most important thing you can do is ask the customer questions. What do you do? Oh, I do a tiny bit of photography. I'm really thinking about getting into video. Oh, I like to surf the internet. I really like email. And, I Skype to my, boyfriend Becky's. Okay, fantastic. If you're going to get into, are you going to get into video? Yeah, I think I am. Okay, well, you should probably get minimum quad core processor, blah, 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 blah. What that does by asking these questions is it gives a good, when you say that they need a quad core, they go, why do I need to spend that extra money? You go, but you said you wanted to do video editing. And they go, oh yeah, right. So the reason you're not selling them a dual core smaller machine is because they wanted to do the video editing. Now, if they don't say they want to do video editing and they don't do any photography, they can go for a more basic machine. But what it does, it gives you the opportunity to try and sell more by asking the simple questions. They're sort of open-ended questions. Okay, so that way there, you can build them the machine that is going to be good for them. The next thing to always, always, always ask, are you happy with your monitor? I always ask that question. They go, yeah, it's fine. And I go, yeah, it goes pretty small. Yeah, it's pretty small. Wouldn't you like a 22 or 24 inch monitor here? They're like a couple $100. And they're like, oh, only a couple $100? I'm like, yeah, you get a 22 inch monitor for $229. Beautiful. Well, I don't know about you. I pay $139 for Samsung 22 inch HD monitors for my supplier. So I sell them at $229. I make almost $100, right? So these are the little things that you add on. Next thing is, oh, okay, great. Yeah, Chris, we want to do all that. Great. Let's talk about backup. Let's talk about AV. Let's talk antivirus. Let's talk about managed services and so on. You see where I'm sort of going here. You do it all. So what is the correct price to charge? I charge 30 to 40% on top of my cost. So if it costs me $1,000, I'm charging, give or take, $1,500, give or take $1,600 in that area for that machine. Now, can they go to Best Buy and buy that machine for $13.99? Yes, no doubt. I tell them that. You can go to Best Buy right now, buy that machine for $13.99, but you're not going to get me to deliver it. You're not going to get the non-bloatware computer. You're going to get a bloatware computer. I'm also going to make sure it hooks up, and you're going to get the right operating system. Do you really know if you need 64-bit, sir? Does your printer work with 64-bit? Oh, I don't know. Well, do you want to buy a new printer if you buy the wrong computer? Well, no. So these little things, and you can make $500, $600, $700 on a sale, and it's just as good as going in and fixing their computer. So I think some of us need to start thinking about selling another computer to a customer. And this isn't sales. This is just finding what the customer needs and telling them what they need. It's just like fixing it. It's just like fixing it for them, except you're selling them something new. And it's a great way. It's more fun, personally. I personally love it. Like the reason I thought about this topic is just this week, I went to saw a guy and he had exactly that, a 1.8 gigahertz, 512 megabyte computer XP. He's getting into photography. He showed me his brand new, Canon Mark D triple F something. It's like he took one picture, put it on his computer, and the processor went to 100% and crashed.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, I need something better. I'm like, yeah. So I ended up getting him like a 6-core AMD, and those things are so cheap now. The whole thing, it ended up costing me, my cost on everything was $975, and I sold to him at $1,599, and he was ecstatic. That was with monitor, keyboard, delivered, data recovery, because there's also data recovery in that. That's another job you get, right? For however you charge, I shouldn't call it data recovery, data transfer.
Right.
You move the data from their old computer to the computer, so you charge for that. I charged $129. So all those things, and then he ended up buying managed IT from me, and then he ended up buying AV. So it was like a $2,200 sale by the time I was said and done, and it was all because he bought a new camera. And there's a lot of people out there that have that now. They don't realize what they buy, or they don't realize what they do. Sorry, I'm blabbering on. I really think that it's a good way for us to make some extra money.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I mean, that's a heck
Awesome.
of a sales pitch. And I'll tell you right now, though, wouldn't you think that all that would be would all work, but it all depends really on how deep the pockets of your customers are. When it comes right down to it. I mean, you could have the best sales pitch in the world, but if the customer you're selling to doesn't have $2,200 to drop on anything, or doesn't have $200 to drop on a monitor, all that, you kind of dead in the water. So
well, I don't know. Am I right in saying that I'm not the best salesman? I'm right in saying if you have a good enough sales pitch, they'll come up with the money somehow. They'll find it. They'll get it. Borrow it. I mean, is it?
They were going to spend a couple $100 to fix their computer. So instead of that, okay, and if they can't afford it, they can't afford it. And sure, I'm not saying everybody, there's no doubt, not everybody is going to buy this new computer. You have to make sure you're doing it to the correct person. So Tim, sure, you're right. There is people that can't afford a new computer. Fix their old one if that's what it's needed. But I'm talking about the other, 85% of the population that can afford to buy this new computer. Hey, I take Visa. Put it on your Visa. What do I care? I say that. As soon as I'm done my pitch, I go, and by the way, I take Visa and MasterCard. The second I'm done.
Timster, why? What are you thinking?
What am I thinking? I mean, here I go again with my area. I mean, we're in a recession here, man. Everybody's real tight on their money and their wallets. People have bad credit. People don't have jobs. It's really tough to upsell stuff, in my opinion, right now.
Okay, I agree with you, Timster. You're right, and it is a bad time. And not as many computers are going to be sold, but let me just take a look at another company to show that it doesn't matter if we're in a recession. The most expensive computers on the planet are Apple, and it's doing the most money it's ever done in its history ever by leaps and bounds. Apple Computer is selling more computers than they've ever sold before, and they're the most expensive. So recession, okay, but people out there have money. Great marketing, great sales. People want, by the time you're done in an Apple store, you want what they have. You just have to get your customer to want what they don't have. That's what you got to do. Every one of us.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, well, I can give you, if that fails, which I guess for some people it might fail occasionally, because this is not a better idea than that. But if that fails and you can't get them to agree to a new system, then what I've done is do like anything after the fact of the repair, like saying, well now I can do a data recovery for you, or I have external hard drives, external hard drive enclosures for people ready to go. So if somebody comes in and it's not worth repairing, and I try to talk them into buying another system through me, and if they're not going to buy it through me, then I say, well, then I could recover your data. I could put it on an external drive. I sell them the external drive, and I sell them the service of extracting their data.
No, that's good.
And or putting it onto another system. So basically running Fab's Auto Backup.
But Steve D, why wouldn't they buy off you? What excuses have they given you for not buying off you?
You know what well for me, I don't know. Lately, it's been a lot of, well, I only want to buy a used one. I'm like, oh, great. Well, I only have one here, and it's a piece of crap compact.
I gotcha.
So that's been my struggles.
I gotcha. Wow. Good stuff here, guys.
So, okay, I'm going to, without going on too far, because I know other people have to go, and it doesn't get too long, I'm just going to say one thing to Timster. Timster, the area you live in, there has to be an area that's higher end and lower end of an area, right?
Well,
There's
yeah.
areas that are nicer than the other, right?
Well, I know where you're
Is there-
going with that, and
So-
I deal with the higher end here too, and I do upsell a lot better on the people that have the money.
Yeah, so that's
so
all
I
I
guess
go
my whole
after.
point of saying is you can only upsell so much. I mean, you try to get what you can out of everybody. Your techniques are great, but are you going to go sell a $2,000 computer every time? No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
Simply
And
due
that's
to a
not what I'm
sales
saying.
pitch. It depends on how deep the wallets are of the people you're selling it to.
No, and you're right. You're dead on. I'm not, and there's no way I'm going to. And that last example was just a one. It just happened to be. A lot of times I only sell $800 computers, but then that would only cost me $450. So I still make the same $350, right, or $400. It doesn't matter what the price was. That was just an example. And you're right. You'll never ever sell it to everyone. And I guess I didn't bring it through properly. I don't mean to upsell. There's no upsell here at all. I mean, if their computer just isn't worth fixing. Sometimes these computers just are old, a computer that's 8 years old, and that's what that computer was, a 1.8 gigahertz, maybe even older, maybe even 9 years old. Is that worth fixing?
No, I don't think 5
about
years old.
not fixing my car. And it's a $30,000 item.
It's worth a shot though to do what you said. Every time it's worth a shot. Ask them
Every
those
time,
questions,
yes.
see how much they want to spend. I mean, I thought it was great. I thought it was great information.
And
Absolutely.
even without selling them a system, definitely sell them on the recovery of their data and placement onto new system.
Well, if they're buying a new machine, you have no excuse that they shouldn't buy it from you. Even if you have to match Best Buy's price, fine, because you can still make money.
Yeah, you can, but they still. I don't think Best Buy has services to install antivirus, to sell them antivirus, and they also have the service to remove bloatware. But what they don't, I don't think they have a service for taking their data and putting it from their old system and putting it on their new.
I'm pretty sure they do. I mean,
I know Staples definitely does, and the Staples is charging.
They do.
They do. Oh, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't know, but I know Staples does, and I know the price. The Staples price is $70.
I would love to come into Timster's area for a week and this doesn't sound like a vacation, but to come over to his area and sit in his office and just sit there and sell and see what I could do. And then I bet you anything, Timster would be like, wow, these people have a lot of money.
yeah.
Well,
Or credit.
come on, dude. Doors wide open to you.
All right, Tim, why don't you go ahead now?
Well, say you do decide to fix the computer and you do decide that it's worth fixing and you find out it's got a bad hard drive.
Okay.
So, so fresh installs, say the hard drive's dead, you can't do any Fabs auto backup or anything. You got to start dead fresh from scratch with fresh new ISO for whatever manufacturer. I want to talk a little bit about some techniques, and maybe the order of importance of things that you do once you do a fresh install.
Absolutely.
This is all my technique, and of course, if any of you guys disagree or agree or want to comment, great, and I have no problem. But the first thing I do after I do a fresh install of Windows is go to the manufacturer's site and install drivers. Download the drivers for that particular model laptop. And the thing is with that is it's not always the quickest way. And sometimes, like if I'm installing Vista or 7, I'll just get the LAN driver and let Vista or 7 go out and get the drivers themselves, and it'll install them automatically. Most of the time it'll get most of the drivers. If not, the manufacturer will have drivers, but there's always the times when the manufacturer won't have all of the drivers or have the wrong drivers. I run into that a lot, and it's a real pain in the butt. So another good solution here is the driver packs from driverpacks.net. Those you can just load up on a disk and point your device manager to them, and it will pick up on the drivers almost instantly and install them. That's without you having to do any kind of homework. There's another website called driverguide.com. If you have driver problems, you can't find your drivers, You just put the information from the driver from the device manager in. And
I used
it'll
to
point you to the right
driver. I used to abhor that site. If it's the one I'm thinking of, are they? Because I can't remember. I've been there so many times back in the. Is it a pay site or is it free?
It's free.
Driver guides. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, driver guides.
Okay,
here.
cool.
But yeah, drivers can be a real pain. I mean, to me, it's one of the most. Well, a lot of times it can be a problem that requires a little bit of time and sometimes some frustration. But those are some ways to kind of get past that and to remedy that. And to save time also, after that, after all my drivers are installed, WSUS is a really good tool. I think we've talked about that. That's just all of the Windows drivers, updates all on one disk. And you don't have to connect to the internet or anything. You just plug it into your laptop with a external hard drive, and it will update your Windows system real quick. And then after that, applications. Use Ninite, and I would advise using Ninite Pro is what they recommend to use to get all your applications on the computer. It's a one-stop shop for all of the applications. And here's what I put on there. You can put on any browser of choice, internet browser. I put on VLC, all of the Flash updates, all of the Java, Silverlight, all of the .NET, OpenOffice or LibreOffice if you're Door. He prefers Libre. Foxit Reader, I prefer that over Adobe. And your own anti-malware. And CD Burner XP would be good, so they have something to burn their disks with. And that's pretty much just a basic rundown of how I kind of prep my system. I also put a folder on the desktop that says TCR, which is my company logo. And in there, I have remote software that I install on the computer, and I have an icon in there. So in case they ever call me and need help, all I tell them is just to go into that folder and double-click on the icon, and I can remote right in. It makes it kind of simple.
Huh.
So,
it's pretty awesome.
And then just making sure that the automatic updates are set for automatic, obviously. And be sure that the antivirus malware you put on there is set properly. So yeah, that's pretty much my routine.
Cool, man. That's awesome. Good tips, thorough. Anything you guys want to add to that?
For the definitely using WSUS is a fantastic idea. That's a definite. What I like to do is for all my XP systems, I'm using this. Actually brought it with me. I've been using this for years now. This little guy here. What it is for anybody in audio. It's a Linksys. It's an old Linksys USB to
Ethernet?
The USB to Ethernet adapter. Like you'd say, well, who would want this stupid thing? What's the point? Everything has a Ethernet jack on it. Well, the point is that with this thing is that the model number is USB 100TX. I'll say it again later. The point of this thing is that XP has this driver built into it. So what I do is I do a reinstall into it on a desktop or laptop, and if it has XP on it, and I know XP is being phased out, so this isn't going to be as useful in the future.
No, but I know where you're going with this. It's awesome.
Yeah, what I do is I plug this in. I mean, this is because I do this so much, like a lot of us. What I do is it doesn't have an Ethernet driver, the XP system. That's fine with me. What I do is I plug this thing in, plug the Ethernet cable into this, and then XP automatically finds this driver, installs it, it's ready to go, and they go in the internet. First things first. I go directly to Windows Update and do all the updates. I do all Windows updates right away because I want the hardware drivers from Windows Update, and then a lot of times the Ethernet adapters gets installed through Windows Update, and then I unplug this and plug the Ethernet jack right into the system. This just kind of saves that one step of going to search for the drivers if you might not have to. And that's my little tip. And it's a USB 100TX. It's kind of great. The sad part about this little guy is that it's not compatible when it comes to drivers for Vista and 7. Sad.
It's all right. It served its purpose well.
Nice.
I wonder if there's another one like that that'll work with Vista and 7.
I'm sure there is somewhere.
It's a newer Linksys one. I have it because after I heard Steve D talk about this a long time ago, and I went and bought one. And of course, the one I bought doesn't have XP drivers, but it has Vista and 7 built.
Really?
Right in.
Which one is it?
Which one?
It's another Linksys. I'll go grab it. Hold on.
Oh, nice.
All right. Well, we won't just sit here
buying
quietly while he gets that.
No, I got a tip.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
just
Hang on,
Is he
Chris.
back?
Yeah. No. You go.
Go ahead, Timster. Finish that up. Unless
no.
you
I
want Chris.
mean, my main tip was, even though you decide to reinstall Windows on a customer's machine, just be sure the hard drive is healthy. Crystal Disk is a great tool to use if you can boot into Windows, and also I use another tool called Disk Patch if you cannot boot into Windows to check the health of my hard drive. Even new hard drives, I would highly recommend checking the health of those before.
Does Crystal Disk give you like a health check, or do you have to read all the stats and figure it out yourself?
I think a little bit of both, Steve.
Okay.
I mean, it definitely reads the smart data, and then it gives you a lot of extra information.
But does it give you like an okay, this is fine, okay to use, green light, green
I
light?
think it goes okay, then it goes caution, and then it goes
cool.
Red alert. I don't know, but
And I remember you talking about Disk Patch before. You still using that, huh?
I love Disk Patch.
Disk Patch. That's a sleeper,
but,
man. Not a lot of people know about that one.
Yeah, it's great if you can't boot into Windows to check the drive. If you're having boot problems, I mean, like if a virus has got your Windows machine, and you want to check the hard drive to be sure it's not the hard drive, then boom, you just plug. You can do it USB with a external floppy drive, or you can do it with a CD-ROM, and it uses DOS, and it just goes right in, checks the smart data, and gives you within 2 minutes. I have the status of the drive just from booting into DOS. And if you want to go further, it has other scanning tools. It has surface scan tools. It has read write detection tools, remapping tools. It has MBR and boot sector tools in there also.
Sweet. How much was Disk Patch? $50?
No, I think it was $39.
Oh, sweet.
I don't know if it's still that price
Very
now.
good. Yeah, I always used to use C tools, I think, with limited success. But all right. Well, what's the model on that, real quick, Chris?
USB 300M, and it's small. It's a lot smaller than Steve D's. And so what I do, because Vista and 7, the bulk of the time already have the Ethernet driver, so this hasn't been that useful for me, is I just have on my USB, well, it's not a USB, but it's an SD card that's locked in a little adapter. And that's one of the first things I plug into a computer is I have the driver for XP on that. So when I plug this in, it doesn't see it, but then I install the driver for this thing, and then I can go out to Windows Update and do everything from XP.
Gotcha.
Nice. Yeah, I actually have to say something real quick about the USB. The USB 100 TX. If anybody is going to use it, there is a little trick that you have to know to use it properly. When you first plug it into XP, it always fails to install, always. But what you have to do is unplug it, wait like 3 seconds, plug it right back in, voila, it works.
That's so weird.
Every time it fails. You can watch Device Manager. It comes up all screwed up, and then you just unplug and plug it right back in, and it's like, woo, ready to go.
All right. Steve, why don't you give us a tip, and then I'll go ahead. Chris and Tim, sure if you have any more tips, and then we'll read some emails here.
My tip is to remember that I think everybody, at least I do this. I was doing this for a while. I think we just kind of try to get past like the job that we're currently in front of. We kind of don't think of the future, so we kind of just get this one done, get to the next one, get this one done, get to the next one, instead of taking like a minute and saying, well, I'm probably gonna sit in front of this system again sometime. And for some people, what they do is like to copy the make an image of the system, but I think that's kind of silly because then you end up with 400 terabytes of images, especially with Vista and 7 these days being so huge. So what I've been doing lately is making a simple folder when I'm installing the drivers for fresh install, what I do is I make a simple folder in their desktop. I download all the drivers to the desktop, and then I install what drivers are needed and that aren't coming with Windows Update. Put them into a folder, give them their own little folder. Like, this is the audio driver that worked, this is the video driver that worked, and I just put them all into a drivers folder. Name it the model of the laptop that is needed, and then copy paste it to my network drive. So for the future, if I ever run into that laptop again, which I probably will, I have the drivers ready to go.
Very smart.
Ready to go.
Very
so
smart.
I don't have, and it doesn't take up that much data, you know, and it's a lot quicker than going to the site, downloading and looking at the whole list of drivers, going, oh, I don't know, which one do I need? Oh my God, there's 10 of them here for the network card. What is optional? What?
I know, very smart.
Fumbling with that for so long. Yeah.
Something I did not do personally, but I wish I did many times.
Yeah, it only takes a few minutes to just kind of be a little, conscious that you're going to be doing this again in the future, and then just kind of storing it for later.
Well, it takes the same amount of time to drag them into the trash can, so you might as well do it.
Exactly.
Good one. All right, Chris, want to give us a quick tip?
Sure. So the tip that I used today was talk to the Podnutz community. I had an issue that I should have known what to do next, but after working on a computer for so long, I get frustrated. My brain doesn't work right, and I just went onto the lounge, onto the chat, and started talking. And things started coming at me. Oh, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Try this. And sure enough, problem got fixed, and I didn't have to think a lot about it. Pretty much the chat room did a lot for me, and that's fantastic. Use that. That's a resource that a lot of techs out there don't have, and we're lucky to have it. So, use the guys in the chat because they're more than willing to help.
Absolutely, man. Fantastic tip. You got the chat, you got the forums, and you have the TeamSpeak room. There's many ways to communicate. You just pick your mode of communication. We have them now. We have it now. Tim, you have any other tips, or was that your one?
No, I will say I was just talking about speeding things up. Taking less time to do things was kind of my theme today. Was just a hot air rework station I love. Makes things a lot quicker. Talking about the driver packs and stuff like that. Hey guys, check out Lalo Nunez's product at betterpctech.com. That'll definitely speed up your production.
Absolutely. Thank you for the plug. I'm sure he would appreciate it as well. Let me read 2 emails here, and then that's going to be it for the show. All right, first email is from Frankie. He says, hey, or he says hello. He doesn't say hey. He says, hello, my name is Frankie. I've been working since the Windows 3.1 days. The question is for all you guys. When it comes to browser preference, there's always been a tug of war. People argue about IE, Firefox, Opera, Safari, and remember the old Netscape Navigator 4.0? Anyway, is there another, quote, browser that I can use? Oh, wait, anyway, there is another, quote, browser that I use. I don't know how I formed that into a question. He says he uses Maxthon, version 3.0 now. I know that it runs under the IE engine, and some might argue it's not an actual browser, but I like it. And now they made it that it runs on dual engines, Trident and WebKit. And there's a lot of customizations you could do on it. Have you guys used it before? What do you think of it? Ever since I found Podnutz, I've been listening to them, trying to absorb as much knowledge as I can. Thank you, and keep up the good work, Frankie. All right, Frankie, thank you very much for the email and for the compliments. I haven't used it. You guys?
Nope.
Maxthon?
First I've ever heard of it.
It reminds me of using Norman antivirus instead of Norton. No, I never used Maxthon. But throw that in the forums, Frankie. See what you could dredge up with that one. That's an interesting one. I'll check it out though. Why the heck
Doors
not?
probably used it. Doors used everything.
Door probably invented it.
Yeah, it runs beautiful on Linux.
No, Frank, I wish we would help you more with that. Sorry, but thank you. I read this one on Linux for the rest of us, but I want to read it here too because I think it's kind of killer. Robin writes, on the last episode of Linux for the Rest of Us, you mentioned making a Podnutz game. I thought an MMORPG would be ideal. You could put in all the Podnutz guys as NPCs and have different towns or areas related to a specific show. I looked around for some game engines. The only open source one I found was Ariane. That's Arianne. Ariane RPG. It uses Java, so it's multi-platform. From the examples, it looks like it's very flexible, and you can get it at ariane.sourceforge.net. Then there is Eclipse. It's Windows only, and I couldn't get it to work in Wine because of a DirectX error. That's Linux talk for you guys. Wine is. But apart from that, it's probably the easiest and fastest way to get a great game up and running because it has an in-game editor. I have tried this recent version of Eclipse, but I haven't tried this recent version of Eclipse, but I had an old version up and running with my home network in 15 minutes, gave myself building rights, and I could edit the map and the NPCs as I was playing. There's probably lots of other good game engines out there, so don't stop looking, everyone. I want this Podnutz game to become a real thing. So I thought it'd be fun to read that. If anybody wants to think of if anyone knows of any good engines and they want to contribute to this, start a thread in the forums or go in the lounge or go in the TeamSpeak, meet up with each other, form a game, just go crazy with it. I'm encouraging it is what I'm saying. I don't have any input at the time because I'm such a noob at that, but, you know, go for it is all I'm saying. What do you guys think about that? An MMORPG Podnutz game with NPCs as Steve D, Chris, and Timster?
Sweet. I want to be the barkeep.
Barkeep. I think that would be really funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for the emails. So why don't we go around here? Steve D, where can people find you?
SMD Steve on Twitter.
All right. Thank you for being on the show.
Sure.
Chris, how about you?
Yeah, Tech Adventures on Twitter. Thanks for having me. It was fun. Tech
Adventures, not Technology Adventures.
That's right. Tech Adventures on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
Timster, how about you?
Timster_ on Twitter. TimsComputerFix.com.
Awesome. Well, again, thank all you guys for being on the show. Awesome data, this show, I must admit. Thank everybody else who was watching and listening and streaming on this. We're on the Roku box now, so you got to check us out. We don't have video yet up there. It's just audio, but it's still awesome nonetheless. It's an official, actual channel. If you want to send us an email, send it at mail@podnutz.com. We will read it on the show. And if you want to send us any voicemails, just pick up a regular phone, like a cell phone or landline phone. Can't believe I said landline. And call 7076-PODNUT. And you'll go right to voicemail, leave us a message, and we'll play that as well. Talk to you later. Thanks, guys. See you next time.